Get ready for the action because we are kicking things off with major financial news. Bondholders have just made a massive move, with Delek Logistics Partners, LP and Delek Logistics Finance Corp., announcing that they have received tenders from holders of $270.7 million in aggregate principal amount for their 2028 senior notes. This represents a significant stake, and we dive into exactly what this means for the market and these major players right now.
Here's a simple way to protect your phone without stress. This ALEN 3-pack comes with tempered glass screen protectors, camera lens protectors, and an installation frame for an easier, cleaner fit. It's clear, case-friendly, and built to help guard against scratches and everyday bumps. Check the link in the comments to get it on Amazon.
Next up, we shift gears completely to global food security and massive supply chain partnerships. DP World and Dahra Holding have signed a major memorandum of understanding to explore end-to-end solutions for food logistics across the GCC and international markets. We break down how this collaboration between DP World's infrastructure and Dahra's agricultural sourcing is set to reshape how food moves around the world. Now, let's look at some high-stakes international diplomacy and defense logistics. Exclusive flight tracking material has surfaced, raising serious questions about French military aircraft movements linked to President Emmanuel Macron's recent diplomacy with Armenia. We investigate the flight paths and the potential military implications behind this diplomatic visit. And finally, we turn to the backbone of global trade, the Australian truck market. Discover how modernization, e-commerce growth, and the push for electric vehicles are transforming this critical sector. Don't miss this deep dive into the future of Australian freight and infrastructure. Stay with us. Delek Logistics Partners, LP and its subsidiary, Delek Logistics Finance Corp., have announced that they have received tenders for $270.7 million in aggregate principal amount from bondholders for Delek Logistics 2028 notes. This tender represents approximately 67.7% of the offerers, 7.125% senior notes due in 2028. The tenders were received as of 5:00 p.m. New York City time on May 11, 2026, in connection with a previously announced tender offer that began on May 4, 2026. The acceptance and payment of these notes are contingent upon several conditions outlined in the offer documents. These conditions include the successful consummation of a concurrent bond offering announced on May 4, 2026, and the receipt of sufficient net proceeds, along with other liquidity sources, to cover the purchase of the tendered notes and associated fees and expenses. Subject to the satisfaction of these conditions, the expected settlement date for the notes that are validly tendered and accepted for purchase is Thursday, May 14, 2026. Accepted notes will receive total consideration of $1,001.35 for every $1,000 principal amount tendered, plus accrued and unpaid interest up to the settlement date. Wells Fargo Securities, LLC was retained as the dealer manager for the offer. Interested parties seeking further information or copies of the offer documents are directed to Wells Fargo Securities, LLC or D.F. King & Co., Inc., the tender agent and information agent. Delek Logistics Partners, LP is a midstream energy master limited partnership focused on gathering, pipeline and transportation services, storage, wholesale marketing, and terminaling for crude oil and natural gas customers, primarily operating in the Permian Basin and the Gulf Coast region. DP World and Dahra Holding have formalized a memorandum of understanding to forge a strategic partnership focused on enhancing food security and agri-logistics capabilities throughout the Gulf Cooperation Council, GCC, and international arenas. This collaboration is a direct response to the region's significant reliance on imports, with the UAE currently importing approximately 85 to 90% of its food supply, underscoring the critical need for resilient supply chains. The core of the agreement involves exploring end-to-end supply chain solutions. This will integrate DP World's extensive logistics infrastructure with Dahra Holdings' expertise in agricultural sourcing and procurement. The joint efforts will focus on the movement, storage, and distribution of food and agricultural commodities. Key areas of cooperation include optimizing logistics and port infrastructure for importing, processing, and distributing commodities across the GCC. Furthermore, the partnership will develop advanced cold chain and warehousing systems tailored for fresh produce, grains, and processed foods. Discussions will also encompass joint investments in new logistics facilities, free zone operations, and agri-food processing hubs in Abu Dhabi and other GCC nations. Beyond the regional focus, the partnership is set to explore sourcing corridors extending to Africa, Eastern Europe, Central Asia, and the Americas. Technological integration will be central to the strategy, involving the deployment of digital platforms, advanced traceability systems, and sophisticated logistics management tools. Crucially, the collaboration will also address regulatory hurdles by coordinating on food safety standards, customs processes, and cross-border trade regulations. Yuvraj Narayan, Group CEO of DP World, stated that the partnership reinforces DP World's dedication to creating resilient and sustainable global supply chains by merging logistics power with agribusiness expertise to boost regional food security and economic growth. Arnoud van den Berg, Group CEO of Dahra, emphasized that this alliance will significantly strengthen their capacity to reliably source, move, and distribute essential commodities at scale, enhancing efficiency and resilience across agri-food supply chains globally. Exclusive flight tracking material has ignited questions regarding the logistics and scope of French military involvement in diplomatic relations with Armenia, prompting scrutiny over defense cooperation strategies. The material obtained by Anuzi reveals movements of French military aircraft linked to President Emmanuel Macron's recent visit to Yerevan. Macron's visit was framed as a diplomatic milestone centered on a strategic partnership, which includes existing defense cooperation, such as Armenia's 2024 order for 36 French-made Caesar howitzers. However, the tracking data suggests a potential deeper military track running parallel to the public diplomacy. Tracking data shows an Airbus A330-200 of the French Air and Space Force, designated FUJCS, flying from Yerevan to Paris on May 4, subsequently moving to a base near Marseille. This raises questions about whether the flight was solely official transport following the visit or part of a broader military support chain. Furthermore, the same aircraft appears in separate tracking material linked to Japan and South Korea in late March and early April. This timing coincides with significant defense diplomacy, including the signing of the Japan-France Defense Roadmap and agreements between Macron and South Korean President Lee Jae-myung to deepen defense and energy cooperation. More recently, tracking footage shows a French military A400M, call sign CTM 2025, moving towards the South Caucasus on May 11, with a declared cargo manifest listing gas cylinders, lithium batteries, and chemical substances destined for Georgia. The critical uncertainty lies in whether this cargo was genuine, or if it contained Caesar-related components or support equipment, especially given that Caesar howitzers were visible in Armenian footage ahead of the Republic Day parade. The visibility of these systems on the ground transforms them from contractual agreements into a tangible military reality. Legally, the movement of military cargo under potentially misleading civilian declarations raises concerns regarding airspace permissions, transit approvals, and compliance with international civil aviation rules under the 1944 Chicago Convention. While public records confirm the diplomatic partnership, the exclusive flight records indicate movement, and visual evidence confirms the presence of military hardware. Verification of the cargo and related legal compliance remains the central unresolved issue, pending review of manifests, transit permissions, and ICAO records. The Australian truck market is undergoing a significant transformation, driven by modernization in logistics, infrastructure investment, and a strong push towards sustainability. Trucks remain the core of Australia's freight economy, supporting vital sectors including construction, mining, agriculture, and retail, and the market is experiencing robust, sustained growth. Market projections indicate that the Australian truck market reached USD 150 million in 2024 and is forecasted to expand to USD 280.91 million by 2033, growing at a compound annual growth rate, CAGR, of 7.22% between 2025 and 2033. This expansion is fueled by surging e-commerce activity, ongoing large-scale infrastructure development, increasing mining operations, and the widespread adoption of advanced safety and telematics technologies. Fleet operators are prioritizing technologically advanced commercial vehicles equipped with fuel-efficient engines, AI-driven telematics, collision prevention systems, and real-time route optimization to boost productivity and manage costs. Furthermore, the industry is rapidly embracing cleaner solutions. The transition to electric trucks and alternative fuel vehicles is gaining momentum, evidenced by the sale of approximately 114,000 new battery electric and plug-in hybrid vehicles in 2024, aligning with stricter government environmental standards. The market is segmented across various vehicle types, tonnage capacities, fuel sources, diesel, petrol, CNG, LNG, and applications. Key growth drivers include the expansion of e-commerce, major infrastructure projects, and the consistent demand from the agriculture and mining sectors for long-haul transport across remote regions. Technological innovation is reshaping operations, with high adoption rates for features like adaptive cruise control and autonomous emergency braking across commercial fleets. Looking ahead, key opportunities lie in expanding electric truck infrastructure, developing AI-driven fleet management systems, catering to the rising demand for last-mile delivery, and investing in autonomous trucking technologies. Policy support, such as updated clean vehicle policies and incentives for alternative fuels, is further accelerating the adoption of cleaner commercial mobility solutions. The Australian truck market is firmly positioned as a critical, dynamic industry essential to the nation's economic resilience and environmental transition.